Okay, here we are on Daf Tzadik Zayin, and we're going to begin from Tzadik Vav Amid Beis, and let us begin from a little bit after the wide lines where it gets wide on the page. Let's see if I can get this whole thing. Okay, great. So the Gemara says, Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught. Na'amon, the Gemara is now going to say that there were many Rishoyim, okay, many Gurings, Yamach Shemoms in Tanakh. And the interesting thing about them is that they had grandchildren that ended up converting to Judaism. So these were the biggest Rishoyim, anti-Semites, killers. And that's the way the life works. Tana Rabbanan. Na'aman ger Toishev Hayer. Na'aman was a general of Ammon in the time of Elisha, and he himself became a ger Toshav. He became a ger that didn't accept Taryag mitzvahs, but never did Avodah Zarah again. Nuvu Zardon, he's the one that's responsible as the general of Nebuchadnezzar in destroying the Beis Hamikdash, the first Beis Hamikdash. And we learned yesterday he became a ger tzedek. He became a righteous Jew, a righteous convert. Mi b'nei bonav shel Sisra, the general of Sisra, he was a general in Canaan. The grandchildren, and some say it was Rabbi Akiva, comes from Sisera. So imagine Sisera is like a Ribbentrop, Yamach Shemam. So from the grandchildren, we have Rabbi Akiva, Lamdu Torah Yerushalayim, they taught Torah in Yerushalayim. Mibnei Banav Shel Sencherev, from the grandchildren of Sencherev, the king of Assyria, as we discussed, laid siege to, he was the one that obviously, as you know, got rid of the 10 tribes. He was the first deported the 10 tribes to somewhere where we don't know. And he was going to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, but in one night, all his army died in a plague. So from his grandchildren, Limdu Torah ben Berabin, they were the ones that taught Torah in for the masses. They were great leaders, and they came from Sancherev's family. Uman Ninu, who are these great people? Shmaya and Avtalia. Mibnei Banav Shel Haman, the grandchildren of Taman, Lamdu Torah b'Bnei Brak, taught Torah in Bnei Brak. I don't know who they are. Now the Gemara says, God, from the grandchildren of that Rasha, which is Nebuchadnezzar, God wanted them to convert also to Judaism. And from his grandchildren, Nebuchadnezzar, who destroyed the first Beis Hamikdash and massacred the Jewish people, God wanted them to bring his children into the fold. Amru Malachi says the Gemara, that the Malachim, the angel, said to God, Rabbeinu Shalai, the Master, the one that destroyed your house and burned your sanctuary, you're going to try to bring them into Judaism? So, and then the Rabbeinu Shalom acquiesced, and none of his children came into our religion. That's what the pasuk says. I tried to heal Babylon, but they didn't become healed. Uma Alma says Nebuchadnezzar. That's referring to Nebuchadnezzar, that God wanted him to become a Jewish from his family, and the Malachim did not allow it. It's just too much. Shmuel ben Achmeni Omer Eilu Naharis Bavel. The Targum and it's Yasser the Bavel. There's certain waters in Bavel that are forever bitter, and there's no way to heal them. That's what that pasuk is referring to. So Gemara continues. Amma Ula says, Amen Umayev Shipshib Bishid Yerushalayim Hava. Amen Umayev, the countries of Ammon and Moav, which is near Israel, which is near Eretz Yisrael, are the worst enemies of Yerushalayim. And Kevan desham inu lervia de komisnabin el chuber Yerushalayim. They heard the prophet saying that the first Beis Hamikdash is going to be destroyed. Shalchu le'len Nebuchadnezzar. They told Nebuchadnezzar, "Pike v'sa, come. Now is a good time, king of Babylon, and destroy the Beis Hamikdash." Amar. So Nebuchadnezzar was pretty smart. He says, Mistafina, I am scared to attack Jerusalem and burn the Beis Hamikdash. It shouldn't happen to me what happened to Sancherev. Sancherev got wiped out, and I don't want that to happen to me. Sholchulei, so Ammon and Moav sent to him, Nobody's home in the house. He went on a long journey. Basically, he was saying God's not here, so to speak, in the temple. He left the first base of Mikdash, so now is a good time. So Nebuchadnezzar said, I can't come. He's so close. He's right nearby. He's going to come back. They sent back God went on a long journey. He's not coming back to the first temple. Destroy it. So Nebuchadnezzar sent back. Aren't there righteous people living in Jerusalem that are going to ask God to bring him back, bring God back to the temple, and then I'm going to be punished? So the Ammon and Moav, again, Ammon and Moav is trying to convince Nebuchadnezzar to do the job. So they sent back to him. Basically, they told him that there's no tzaddikim in Jerusalem to pray for God to return. Hi, Alan, we're just on Tzadik Vav Amid Beis, about a couple of lines from the bottom. So Nebuchadnezzar said, what's going to happen if Hadre Rashia B'tshuva, if the evil people are going to do tshuva, they're going to pray to God, and they're going to bring God back to the temple. They answered to Ammon and Moav said, it's too late. God set aside a certain zman. It's the appropriate time to destroy it. They said, this is the time to come to his house. So again, you can see that Nebuchadnezzar is so hesitant to destroy Jerusalem and the Beis Hamikdash. So Ammon and Moav is trying to convince him to come and do it already. So Nebuchadnezzar sent Ammon and Moav, I can't come. Sisavahu, it's winter time. I can't come from Iraq to Jerusalem through the rain and snow. It's like what Hitler Yamach when he went into Russia. You can't move an army through the rain and snow. So Shalchule Ta'ashina de Tura, go through the mountains, and there through the stone the stones sticking out of the mountains, you're going to be protected from the snow and the rain. Shnema Shulchul Kar Moishel Eretz Misel Midbara El Har Batzin. Follow the formation of the rocks towards the mountain about Tzion. So Nebuchadnezzar said, I have a problem with the plan. If I eventually get to Jerusalem and it's winter time, it's going to snow on me. I have nowhere to sit. Where am I going to put my army? They told him, the graves are better than your palaces. There's plenty of places for where you stay. God said that I'm going to remove the bones of all those dead from their graves. I'm going to spread them out in front of the sun and the moon, in front of all those gods that you worship. So from their bones, you'll be able to build houses for yourself. There's plenty of bones, and you could lay siege even though it's winter time. So anyway, that's how the Gemara describes how Nebuchadnezzar was pretty much hesitant. So he somehow feared God, And if you study some tyrants, you'll find that despite their rhetoric, they did somehow in their conscience know that God's going to punish them. Now that the Gemara discussed about Tzaddikim not being in Israel, Amalei Rav Nachman Rav Yitzchak. Rav Nachman said to Rav Yitzchak, "No Gemara. Mi shemialach emes asu bar nafli." Did you hear when the bar nafli is coming? Amalei. So Rav Nachman said to Rav Yitzchak. So Rav Yitzchak answered, "Mam bar nafli. Who is this bar nafli?" So Rav Nachman said, "Amalei Mashiach." He said Mashiach. So basically, Rav Nachman asked Rav Yitzchak, "When is the Messiah coming?" Mashiach bar naflis kareslei. Why do you call Mashiach the bar nafli, the one who fell? Amalei. So Rav Nachman said, the ksiv b'yayim akum esukas David anafelas. I'm going to raise the house of David that fell. So the name of Mashiach is going to be called Bar Nafli. Amalei. So Rab Yitzchak has to respond to Rav Nachman when he thinks Mashiach is going to come. So he doesn't give him an exact time when Mashiach is going to come, but he gives him a few signs. This is what Rabbi Yochanan says. Dor sheben David ba, the generation that Mashiach will come, Talmidei Chachamim mismatim. There will be very few Talmidei Chachamim. V'hashar, unfortunately, the rest of the people, kolos b'yogain v'anocha. Their eyes will become weary through pain, through sorrow and sadness and pain. V'tzoros rabis ugzerish kashos mischachos, and many sufferings and sharp decrees are renewed every day. As soon as you finish with the first decree, the second decree comes. So there's no break in between. In other words, when Mashiach comes, there's going to be a lot of tzaros for Klal Yisrael. Talmud Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Shvua sheben David ba, the 7-year cycle. Within the 7-year cycle that Mashiach is going to come, so it's going to, the Brisa seems to say it's a little different. Shana Rishayna, the first year of that cycle, the sky mikrazeh, al ir achas or ir achas lo yamtin. God says that in one city it's going to rain, and one city it's not going to rain. Basically, there's going to be prosperity in one place and hunger in another place. Shnia, but the second year, chitzei ra'av b'shtalchem, the arrows of hunger are going to be sent. In other words, there's going to be hunger everywhere, but not, devastation. Shalishis, by the third year, there'll be such a hunger in worldwide hunger, ra'av gadol, there'll be nowhere to run. Umeisim anoshim etaf chasidim v'anshimaisa. This will be such a hunger that men, women, children, and great people are going to be dying. The Torah mishkachasim eloimdel, and people are going to forget about learning because they're going to be so busy with trying to survive the hunger. Baravias, then it starts getting better. Baravias on the 4th year, soiva ve'ena soiva. Some it starts, there's going to be satiation, but you're not going to be satiated because it's going to be almost there. B'chamishis, the 5th year of the cycle, soivea godol, there'll be such an abundance of food in the world. And people will be eat and drink and be merry. And then once people have what they need, the Torah chazaris lamdeh, everybody's going to return to learning again. Bashishis, in the 6th year of the cycle, koilos, there'll be thunder and lightning, or there will be a lot of noises. And Bashvias, Milchamais, there's going to be the war of Gog and Magog. And Bashmatzah Shvias, by the 8th year, when after the Armageddon, Ben David Ba, the Mashiach is going to come. So Amar Rav Yosef says, Halkama Shvias the Hava came v'layasa. I've been through many Shvias Shemitah cycles, 7-year cycles, and it was like this, and Mashiach didn't come. Amar Abaya, B'shisha Koilos B'shiyas Mechamas, did you hear on the 6th year thunder, and 7th year the war of Armageddon happened? Ba'oid Kisidra Mihava, did it happen in the exact order? The order is again like this. First year it's going to be hunger in one place and not so and abundance in another place. Then there's going to be hunger all over. Then the 3rd year is going to be total devastation of hunger. The 4th year there's people going to have satiation, and the 5th year is going to be abundance of food. And it never really happened in that order, and that's why Rabbi explained to Rav Yosef that's why Mashiach didn't come. Tanya, when we learned to the Brisa, Rabbi Yehuda said, Dor sheben David ban, the generation that Mashiach will come, Beis Va'ad Yiluz Nus, the place that they used to, the Beis Medrash that they used to have outside the town, which became abandoned, will be a place for Znos. That's how it's going to be. Vahagalil Yecharev, the north will be destroyed. Vahagavlam, this place of Gavlam Ye'asham. I don't know what Gavlan is, but Rashi says this place of Gavlam will be laid desolate. Va'anshe Gvul, and the people around Israel, Yisayviv Me'ir Le'ir, they'll go from place to place. V'lo Yechnununu, they will not have, no one's going to give them to eat. In other words, they'll be asked to move from their homes, like the people near the Gaza. The chachmas asayfrim tisrach, and the intelligence of the writers will be rotted. The yirei, people will, I guess it means that they will write corrupt things. The yirei sechet yimasu, people who are fearing of the sin will be held in discussed. Upnei Hadar, the people who lead the generations, Kapnei Kelev, are like the face of a dog. They're going to look like the face of a dog, that they're not going to be embarrassed for each other. The emes nederes, and during the time of Mashiach, nobody will say the truth. It will be removed the truth. Shnema v'atiyeh emes nederes. Amrei de Beirav, he taught in Yeshiva Rav, Melamich nasa adar madar v'hoylechas lo. They're going to stack themselves up and move away. People who speak the truth will, sort of live out of town, but they're not going to live amongst people because most people will be basically liars and frauds. My v'sar meira mishtoilel, Amar Reb Shil kol mi shesamara mishtoilel al habriyos. Whoever is a guy, a frummi, he removes himself from doing bad. During the time of Mashiach, he's going to be looked at as a fool. So this is a bad sign of how the people will be during the time of Mashiach. Now the Gemara tells us a beautiful story. Amar Rava, Mereish Havamina Lekekushta Ba'alma. I used to think there's nobody saying the truth. Amar Lihu Ahu Mirabanim Rav Tovis Shmei, Va'amri La Rav Tav Yomi Shmei. So this rabbi said, Rav Tovis, or his name is Rav Tav Yomi, he said, I know of people who only say the truth. If these type of people, if you give them all the wealth in the world, they will never say a lie. And says Rav Tavyumi, I was once living in this town, the Kushtashme, and the name of the town is Truth. And nobody said a lie. And nobody died young, because when you say the truth, you live your normal years. So I married one of the girls from that town. And I had 2 children. So Rav Tuvis married somebody from this town called Truth, and he had 2 children. And everybody speaks the truth. One day, my wife was in the, let's say, sort of in the bath, rubbing her hair, taking a shower. Also, she bought to tarfa adashi. So a neighbor came and knocked on the door. And he was asking where my wife is. Savar, I thought, it's not nice to say my wife is in the shower. Amalei, so I said, Leisa hacha, she's not here. That's a lie. Shchivali tarta benin. So my 2 sons died. Also, Anashi the Asr, the people of the city came to Kameh in front of me. Amalei, my hi, what's going on over here? Why did your kids die? What did you do? Amalei, hachi habemaisa, I had to say a lie. Amalei, so the people of the town said, but Matisanach, we beg you, Put Ma'asran, go out from our city, and don't bring death into our group. So that's a very interesting story about the importance of truth, which will be sort of like absent in the time of Mashiach. Tanya, we learned in a Braisa. Rab Narai Omer, Dorsha ben David Ba, the generation ben Mashiach will come. A fascinating thing and how the people, society will be. The generation that Mashiach will come, Na'aram Yalbinu Pnei Zakenim. Young people will shame the faces of the older people. Uzkenim Yamdu Lefnei Na'arim. And old people will stand up for the young people. Let's say on a subway, an old person will get up to give his chair to the young person. Ubas Kama Be'ima. And a mother and a daughter will get up against her mother, right? V'chala b'chamaisa, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Pnei Adar Pnei Kelev, and the face of the generation, the leaders of the generation are like a face of a dog. And a son will not be embarrassed of his father. He'll smoke in front of his father. Tanya, we learned in a brayser. Nechemia says, Dorsha ben David ba ha'azaz tirba. The generation that Mashiach will come, there's going to be a lot of arrogance. And respect will be corrupted. They will respect the wrong type of people. And there will be a lot of grapes. There's not a problem with grapes, but wine will be expensive because everybody's trying to get drunk on high. And the entire political government will turn liberal, basically, like Minas. The Ein Teichacha, and there's nobody giving Musar. There's no such a thing, you give rebuke to somebody. This proves what Rav Yitzchak said. Rav Yitzchak said, Ein ben David Bar, kol malchus laminas, until everybody returns to liberalism. Amarava ma'ikra, kula havach lavan tarho. When the whole world turns white, that's when, Mashiach is here. Pranarabonan, the rabbis taught. The pasuk says, "Ki yodin Hashem amay." Hashem is going to bring Mashiach and take up punishing those that oppressed his nation. Ki yira, because God will see. Ki azlas yod, the hand became weaker or stronger. The efes atzav azav, and there's no one else to rely on. What is this pasuk is hinting that God's going to bring the geula when? Ki azlas yod. Ein David ba ache ba yirbo hamaysaris. Then Mashiach will come when there are people who have a strong hand will be blackmailing their fellow Jews and giving them over to the goyim. There'll be a lot of blackmailers. Davar acha achismata talmidim. Azlas doesn't mean stronger; it means weaker. When the hand of talmidim will be weak, in other words, be less students teaching and guiding the nation to giving the Jewish people musar. Davar acha, another means ki azlas yad means people will have weak hands. Because when they go into the pockets, the bank account is overdrawn. Until there's no penny in your pocket anymore. I guess there'll be a high inflation. Mashiach will come, the pasuk says, when people give up of ever being redeemed, that's when Mashiach is going to come. When you're shnema, the efes atzav azav, kaviyachol ein soimech vayze liYisrael. When there is nobody else to help and everything seems lost, that's when God's going to come. Rabbi Zera used to say, when he found his students trying to figure out, mathematically when Mashiach is going to come, he would say to them, don't, with your actions, you're causing it to go further away. The Tanina, we learned in the Braisa, Gimel Boim Behesach Das. Three things come when you don't think about it. Elohein, Mashiach will come when you don't think about it. Mitzia, winning a lottery, the akrav, and the bite of a scorpion. A major event. These major events come when you don't think about it. Amar Rav Katina Rav Kini taught. Shis almei shnei hava alma v'chad chriv. The world will last for 6,000 years, and then the seventh year it's going to be total desolation. Shnema v'niskav Hashem levadai b'yayim Abaya ama trei charav shnema yichayenim miyayim mayim b'yayim hashlishi yikamen v'nichi v'noam fonav. That for 2 years, so to speak, it's going to be desolate, and then on the third year, it's going to be in the 3,000 year, it will be rebuilt. So again, is the Mashiach coming on the, if after 6,000 years the world will be destroyed, and then the 7,000th year will be empty, and then God's going to rebuild the world in the 8,000th year or the 9,000th year. Tanya Kabos Rav Ketina taught, Kishem Shashvius Mishameta Shana Achas Azayim Shanim, Kach Ha'oil Mishamet Ela Sham L'Shivas Alafim Shana. Shenema V'Niskav Hashem Levadai B'Yayim Ahu. V'Oime Mizmashil Yom HaShabbos Yom Shekuli Shabbos V'Oime Ki Ela Sham Beinakim Eskem Ki Avor. In other words, God said, I'm going to rest for 1 day. Now, when God says 1 day, he means 1,000 years. So when God says that 1 day there's not going to be a world, that is the time of between the 6,000th year and the 7,000th year when the world will be just empty, just water. The Gemara said before that some Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, great tzaddikim will get up Tchias HaMesim. And during that period, they're just going to fly around the earth until God rebuilds the world. Tana de Be'aliyahu was taught, Sheishas alafim have almas. Again, 6,000 years the world is around. Shnei alafim tahu. The first 2,000 years of the world was, you didn't know what the purpose of the world was. Shnei alafim Torah. And then the second 2,000 years, now we have the Torah, we know we have a direction and a purpose. Shnei alafim Yemaisa Mashiach. And the 2,000 years will be the days of Mashiach, which we could, go much faster in getting closer to Hashem. Now we go to Amid Beis. Even though we're in 5,785, and really 4,000 by year 4,000 Mashiach should have came, or the Yemaisa Mashiach. Okay, we did a lot of Averis. That's why it's being delayed. Amalei Eliyahu Rav Yehuda said to Rav Yehuda, Achuda Rav Salach Hasida, the brother of Rav Salach Hasida. Rav Yehuda had a brother, Salach Hasida. Anyway, Eliyahu Navi spoke to Rav Yehuda and said, Einu oilam pachas b'shmoinim v'chamisha yovlis, The world is going to be 4,820 years, and then that final 50 years, that's when Mashiach will come. Is it coming at 4,821, or is it coming at the year 4,870? Even if it's coming at the end of the year, will be 4,870 or 4,871. He didn't know. Rabbi Eliyahu, right? So Eliyahu, Rabbi Yehuda asked Eliyahu, and Eliyahu still didn't. He himself doesn't know exactly when Mashiach is going to come. Rav Ashi says, "Hachi amalei." In other words, this is what the Eliyahu meant. And Eliyahu meant for 4,820 years for sure, Mashiach is not going to come. Don't even think about it. But after 4,820 years, now we can hope and expect every day. That's why means every day I expect Mashiach to come. Shalach le Rav Chanan bar Tachlich for Rav Yosef. Rav Chanan sent to Rav Yosef, Matzasi Adam Echad. Rav Chanan said, I found one person, and he had a document written in Lashon HaKodesh. Omarti Lai, and he said to him, where did you get this? Amalei, it was written Ashurish and Lashon HaKodesh. It looked like a Sefer Torah. Amalei l'chayola sharoy meniskarti. I was hired by the armies of the Rome. I was a mercenary. Uben gidzu roimim tzosoy. I found it in the Vatican, basically. And I found this document and I stole it. The kosuba, and written in this document was la'acha dalit alofim musayim v'tishim ve'echad shana. After 4,291 years of the creation of the world, ha'olam yitam, the olam will go desolate. Mehem mechomas taninim, there'll be wars of the two fishes, Levyasan. Mehem mechomas goy gamagos, there's going to be an Armageddon. Ushari moisa Mashiach, and then Mashiach, the rest of it will Mashiach come. The ein kadosh baruch hu mechadish alam elacha shivas alavim shana. I guess there will be a nuclear war, and I guess the whole world will be destroyed, and then God after will renew the world after 7,000 years. It was after 5,000 years. That's when this is going to happen. Okay, another 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll stop. Tanya Rab Nosson Oima Mikrazen Noikev Yored Adahim. The following pasuk, if you think about it, it's like looking in the depth of the sea. You'll never get done. In other words, basically, if you look at Chumash, if you look at Tanakh, there are psukim in the Nil especially, and maybe in Tehillim, which hint to you when Mashiach is going to come. But you're going to get it wrong, says the Gemara. If for some reason, according to your calculations, Mashiach will be delayed, expect it to come, because it's certainly going to come. It's not going to, take too long. There were some people that said, if you look in Daniel, it said that after the destruction of the first base of Migdash, wait 1,400 years, Mashiach will come. Don't believe them. They say that it was supposed to come after 1,410 years. Like Rabbi Kiva said, during not so long, Rabbi Kiva held that Mashiach was supposed to come during the time of the second base of Migdash, and Rabbi Kiva held that Bar Kochba was the Mashiach. God said a little bit, and I'm going to thunder the heavens and the earth, because that's not the pshat in the pasuk. The pshat in the pasuk was Malchus Rishon Shivim Shana, Malchus Shnia Chamishim Shtayim, Malchus Ben Kaziva Shtei Shana Mechza. That means that what God was saying in the Nevuas Chagai, build the second base of Migdash, but that's not the Mashiach, because the Jews were on top. The second base of Migdash, let's say, was 420 years. The maximum amount of time that the Jews controlled and had self-governance in the second base of Migdash was not too long. They were under the jurisdiction of the Romans, and before that the Persians and the Babylonians. So the maximum was 70 years or 52 years, and Bar Kochba was 2.5 years. So don't waste your time thinking when Mashiach is going to come. Concludes the Gemara. We're going to conclude the Gemara in another minute. It should, the bones of those that make calculations of those people should rot. It means curse them, because they say as soon as their calculations, Mashiach didn't come, he's never coming. The Torah that we tell you, chakelai, hope that he's going to come, expect. It's one of the Ikrei Amuna, that every day I expect Mashiach to come. Maybe I'm hoping and expecting it to come, but God's not expecting it to come. God's expecting it to come also every single day, and I'm expecting it to come every single day. Asks the Gemara two questions. If I'm hoping that he's coming and expecting, and God's expecting, why doesn't he come? Answers the Gemara, Midas Adin Ma'akeves. The Midas Adin, the judgments are stopping it from coming. We're not worthy of it yet. So the question is, since we're not worthy of the Mashiach yet, why are we expecting it? If you expect something and it doesn't come, and every day you're expecting and it doesn't come, you get brokenhearted. So what's the whole point? What's the whole point of this exercise? Concludes the Gemara, Lakabo Sachar, so that we should get a reward. Shnema Ashrei Kol Choichelai. Lucky and exemplary is somebody who hopes, and that's the signature of the Jewish people, that we hope and we expect, and even though we're constantly being disappointed. Okay.